that in my class. But no, with no judgment. I don't name names. I'm just like, here's all the factors.
Yeah.
Draw your own conclusions.
Yeah. So first of all, thank you for bringing these, and thank you for allowing this to happen. Right, with your suggestions. So maybe I'll talk about my perspective on the basics of successfully navigating jiu-jitsu, and then maybe practice is better than talk. We can just like keep a couple guys rolling. I don't think we have enough people or room to do more than one round. But so the most important thing about Gi Jiu Jitsu, which is slightly different in No Gi Jiu Jitsu. No Gi Jiu Jitsu is more like wrestling or traditional grappling. But in Gi, we have something very different, don't we? This Velcro that makes it difficult to do anything. Getting a rear naked choke in Gi Jiu Jitsu is infinitely more difficult than No Gi because you have to get this Velcro around the collar. Your Gi is just very difficult. So we have a lot of resistance to movement, and we have grips everywhere, right? So the first thing of grappling is always grips and control, right? So in Gi Jiu Jitsu, we have to understand our grips. What is our grip strategy? The number one thing is grips. If you don't have grips, you don't have anything, right? And you can argue that an underhook or a cup behind the tricep or more of a no-gi grip, okay, that's fine. That's a grip too. But most situations, your gi grip will be infinitely more powerful because of the way that you can hold on to it with strength and then pull them and guide them around. It's difficult. The only way that you can do that in no-gi is to actually grasp a wrist or an ankle or grasp behind the elbow or behind the neck. And those are difficult positions to get into. But a gi, I mean, like I can grab your collar, I can grab the middle, I can grab your lapel, I can throw it out, I can put my foot into the lapel and use leverage, incredible amount of leverage. So you want to talk about strength? I mean, geez, adding leverage to strength changes the dynamic in every single way. So as a jiu-jitsu practitioner, if I'm going to train jiu-jitsu with another gi, then I have to ask myself, what is my grip strategy? Where am I placing my grips, and what are the quality of my grips? So a lot of times we'll go for a collar grip. So if I'm going to grip the collar, I want to think about how high up on the collar I am. You know, am I coming up more for chokes, or am I coming down more for a roll? And then what is the quality of that grip? If I just barely got it, is that really going to be acceptable when I get into full motion? I may lose it, right? So getting a good quality grip, and I like to grab on this particular place, I like to grab with my fingers on the outside of the lapel, not all the way, right here, and then I like to turn it in, right? And so my fingers come under, and I have a little bit of a wrap. And a lot of times when I grab higher up, when it's meant to be tighter, and I turn it and bring the elbow in, it kind of locks it in. It makes it additionally more tight, like that last little bit of tweak of tightness. Now that is going to be important for what you're going to do next, but in some cases you will want to keep it loose because you need the pliability for the other position in order to complete the submission, right? So having this super tight and the grip with not much room to move at all isn't always your friend. But in most cases, especially when you're starting out in the training, when two people are training together and maybe you want to get a sweep or you want to get, a lot of times it is advantageous to get a really tight grip. So the other thing is that a lot of times, moving the entire body of the person, gripping them really close to the neck, wherever the neck goes, the body goes. That's what I learned in wrestling. Controlling that can use a lot of muscle. You're trying to move the person's entire body weight. If we move to the extremities, then we can potentially use less muscle to move around. We're not moving around the body yet, but once we start to get each individual joint into position where we can lock it out and then complete a motion where now the whole body has to come along, well, we can essentially do that with a lot less effort, right? And that's the game that I'm going to play because, remember, I don't want to use any additional energy that I don't have to. So you guys will see me grab for extremities all the time. When you grab these, if you get your fingers on the inside, a lot of times you get twisted. It's illegal in tournaments, and a lot of times wazoo younger jiu-jitsu fighters will do the spin under and like try to break the fingers and tap out. It's like you see them on Instagram. So this is not the way to grab a lapel, a wrist, or an ankle. We want to tuck the thumb and pinch just like up here, but we want to roll that under, and we're going to hold it like that. And a lot of times I will keep my thumb out even though there's a risk of breaking the thumb. If you tuck it, that's safer, but for some reason I like to just play thumb wars here. But either way you do it, you want to roll that material under and again tuck it, so now you're pulling. The one that I will use maybe even more than the roll method is the pistol grip, and that one is just kind of pinching right here, or maybe like on the other side of the knuckle, like on one side of the knuckle, whatever feels right, and then you're going to bring that wrist in and then grip, right? And so see how I'm pinching off the circulation to the wrist, right? You can hold it out here, right, and do something like this, but there's a little bit less play. I want to maybe like right behind that knuckle, I want to get it to where I can come up, bring that wrist in right here, and then as I grip, I'm like cutting off circulation to the wrist. So now it's just a greater degree of control when I'm driving this wrist around, right? So the first lesson in jiu-jitsu is this is a grip game. If you don't know what your grips are, and you don't know the quality of your grips, you're losing already, right? Even at higher belts, you get lazy, you put a hand down or whatever, you have to have grips. What is the position and what is the quality of your grips? That's what you should always be thinking about. Even your feet are grips. And what tends to happen is because we can't close our foot like we can our hand, there's more of like a hooking mechanism with your toes. So whether you come around for De La Hiva and hook the crotch, or that little material, or you're hooking the, we have this new type of guard playing where people are using, noodling the lapel, holding the edge and pushing their foot up against it. Or if you're holding the wrist or the material around the wrist and then putting your foot into their bicep, inside, outside, deep, whatever, or you're coming around for like a lasso, like those are all grips with your feet. So if you're not considering where are my feet in this grip game, well, then you're not ready to level up, because all four of those should be activated. And a lot of times you'll see me using all four grips in position, and that's much more powerful than the day one guy who walks in and can barely figure out how to use one grip, right? Sometimes I'll use leverage in terms of like letting go of one, like if I'm playing guard and I let go of one leg and drop it down, that is not because I forgot to have a grip. That's because I'm dropping the leg down as a leverage point, and I can swing it this way and I can swing it that way and gain additional power with the three grips that are remaining, right? And sometimes I'll have to drop a grip to put a foot on the ground and push off, or a hand on the ground to do this motion, right? This is like this combat stand up, right? So I have to put my hand on the ground for that. But often if I'm like training with black belts, and let's say I'm in their guard and they my hand goes to the ground, I laugh and I look at them and I'm like, well done, because they have gotten me off balance to the point where I've abandoned my grip and I've gone to catch my balance, right? So that's higher level. In the beginning, just do whatever you have to do to maintain position. So that's the second lesson. The second lesson is, what is your body position? So I'm not going to teach you everything about jiu-jitsu today, but number one is grips. Number two is body position. So just from, most people understand stand up and, don't cross your feet while you're standing, and like from a standing position, how to stay balanced. Like wider stance is more stable, narrower stance is faster, like all that kind of stuff. But when we get down on the ground, I think that a lot of people don't understand body position. And so some of the rules to body position, just for the basics, this changes as you try to do more advanced stuff, which I don't recommend, but What I don't want to do is leave my feet out here, right? Except in certain situations like where I'm baiting and I'm pulling somebody into a specific type of guard. Because 9 times out of 10, what this does is not only allows them to attack your feet, you've got toe holds and foot locks and heel hooks, but also, right, that my body has given up a lot more of the guard pass, right? So even just bringing in my feet right here gives me another 12 inches. Once he is able, let's say he steps on my foot and grabs my knee, like he's walking past my guard, right? And I'm giving him additional distance for free. Also, if I want to back up, like watch how far I can back up. Okay, if I'm here, see how much farther I can back up, and the hip distance is everything. Like the body position is based on hip control. Now you can control the hips by controlling the head and the ankle and stuff like that, but in general we're focused on the hips. So body position means always, if I'm down, we'll just talk about down, if my feet are always close to my butt, then my feet are protected, right? And I'm keeping myself closer to my hips, my whole body. The minute that I start to extend limbs, they become submittable, right? So, and that's why guys are always victim to this. They come in and they try to bench press people off of them, and the first thing they do is push their arm into an extension, and it's very easy to wrist lock, elbow lock, shoulder lock, whatever. So I want to keep my feet and my elbows, by the way, close to my body. It's easier for your elbows, right? But the feet, like we're used to walking, we think that they should be extended. So you want to keep our feet close to our butt. And you'll notice that I've picked a side, right? So I'm on this side. If I go to this side, I've changed hips altogether. My entire platform right now is knee. It's difficult to get up under here, right? I've got a lot of weight on my hip all the way along my thigh here, right? My feet are tucked in for protection, and I have 2 weapons that are completely available right now. One is this, right? This one, and I can do a lot with that. If I want to switch, no problem. Now these are more available, right? But these are protected. Now some of the vulnerabilities, right? This is a vulnerability, him coming past this knee into this area right here. But I will take that because I am coming up. I'm like halfway to coming up. The next step to coming up is to here, right? And now I'm back in neutral and I'm attacking. If I want to, though, I can collapse to here, right? And that's okay. Now I have not given a vulnerability here. Right now my elbow is close to my knee. This is okay. We just have to realize that this is a vulnerability. Up here, I'm eliminating my vulnerability by keeping my knees to my elbow. So any position that you're in, rolling around, if you keep your knees close to your elbow, you're going to eliminate the ability for them to come past and get closer to these joints. Once you get hip, shoulder, like you're going to be able to submit the elbow and the knee, right? So I want to protect that. If I can keep them from this part out, right, all they have is ankle lock, wrist lock, that kind of thing. I don't want to expose my side where they can get in there, pass guard, and submit. So just basic body positions. Feet are always in, and elbows always to knees. No matter what position I'm in, I'm going to have this right here, knees to elbows, and I'm going to be thinking about, like, if as they come in, how do I close the distance so that they can't get in on that side? The minute you let them in on that side, now you're working to get them off of your side, and now you're burning energy, and we know we don't want to do that. Other than that, the biggest thing I see is as people try to pass guard, they struggle with balance. Typically, they lean forward too far, and when you lean all your body weight too far past the axis, it's almost like if I set that igloo bottle on the edge, and it's on the edge. All I have to do is walk up and just tap it over. It's going to fall over. That's what you're doing when you're leaning too far forward. Also, when you're not conscientious of your base, you can also go too far forward or like that. And that's that motion that I laugh about when I'm training with higher belts, because they didn't sweep me, and there's only a couple people in the world that can sweep me. That's how I got the name Urso Bronco from. fifth degree. He's a red belt now, but at the time he was fifth degree. Bita, Adelson Lima, because he couldn't throw me. He called me the white bear. That's racist. That's okay. I took it. So if you can sweep me, then it's a really, I'll congratulate. That's awesome, right? No ego, but if you just get me to here, that's an accomplishment in my mind. And I laugh about it, and they know that I know, even for them, anybody sweeping. One of the reasons is because my style of body position in guard is I prefer to keep the hips on the ground here, right? And so that allows me to be lower. Even in guard, even in these lower positions, hips matter. The distance from the hips to the ground matter. When you stand up and you think about throwing, like Greco-Roman, if you get your hips under, just drop level, you can throw them, right? It's the same thing from guard, right? So your hips being lower gives you the control position. That's why you'll see sometimes advanced belts will try to rock you up on top of them. They're just trying to elevate your hips above their hips. So if I get my hips low, you can't throw me, but that makes me immobile. So I'll go one step above and I'll sit on my heels. Now most black belts will not teach sitting on the heels. They'll teach active toes. They'll teach live toes. Nothing wrong with that. You're much faster. You're much faster. You can, you're done, right? But from here, I can go from here to here in 1 second. So I'm willing to give that 1 second because I'm in a defensive position and I can't be swept here. And am I really worried about that? No, because I'm waiting for something to open up. So now I can maybe, like, I open up the hips, put my knee into his the inside of his leg, and now I come up here. Okay, so now I'm very much in a live position. My toes are live, my knee is up, but I have all that weight. But I want to have that control position before I give up this beautiful ability to just say rock solid, like a stable platform with my hips often much lower than his. And his hips may try to ride up on me as he rides guard. I'm in a controlling position because my hips are lower, right? So I'll stop yapping about the basics of jiu-jitsu. I hope that stuff was helpful.
Absolutely.
Yeah, why don't you guys train and kind of warm up, and then whenever you're ready, I can start a timer. How long do you guys want to go?
What do you normally
I normally
do?
do 5 minutes
That's
when
fine.
we roll.
Let's do 5-minute rounds. We've got Gatorade over here, and I'll get a timer.